Guns have been around for a very long time. We have seen them in movies, video games, and some sports. And over time, we have started to accept them into society and started to get really comfortable with them. Just like how a child likes his favorite toy so much that they believe that it's okay to take it to school, but we have to be real, people. These are not toys. In today's time, people have gotten so comfortable with guns that they believe that they have the right to carry these weapons in public for their safety, which can lead to an argument and someone being shot dead. Hello, my name is Eric Placencia, and in this speech, I will talk about how we need to toughen our gun control laws in order to stop the dangers of guns in the United States. Many people believe that guns are only used by people who want to protect their homes, but according to the National Institute of Justice, they state that the National Crime Victimization Survey was 4,000 people were victims of crimes committed with a firearm in 2011. And people say that those criminals with firearms can only be normal like citizens or criminals, but this can only be further from the truth, since in most cases these could be neighbors possessing enough firepower in their homes that can arm a small militia, and their only reasoning behind this amount of firepower is for safety or their right to bear arms. But why should you care? In their right, it's their right to bear arms, but you know what's not in the Constitution? People's families being put in danger after someone with a firearm begins to open fire upon innocent people. That's when people only begin to care, but about when their loved ones are gone. But sometimes this isn't even enough, due to the same phrase that people keep getting passed around, that it's okay, it wasn't my family. But why do you want to wait until it is? After doing some research through the National Institute of Justice for crime rates in the US of firearms, I also did research through the Washington Post to learn more about the firearm incidents with children with guns. And finally, I have done research through the England Journal of Medicine to learn more about the injuries of survivors of mass shootings. To begin, we'll look at how easily accessible it is in the United States to own a gun. Then we'll look at how school shootings, and finally, we will look at how stricter gun laws can avoid everything we've learned in this speech. First, let's look at how people are getting their guns and how accessible are they. Have you ever wondered how old you should be to get a gun? Well, according to the Washington Post, in 30 states, a child of 18 years or older is still legally allowed to purchase a firearm, either if it's a rifle or a shotgun. And at the age limit only gets lower and lower from there, due to the fact that the Washington Post also stated that the Webster police made a quote saying, if a dad wants to give his son a rifle or a shotgun on his 13th or 14th birthday, he's pretty much free to do that in most states. Webster stated, a father can legally give his son a deadly weapon with one mistake that child can make with is that can end his life and others. This is a middle school child with a firearm. These types of incidents and stories are very common situations in the US. For example, the Washington Post accidental gun deaths make up a significant portion of overall gun deaths in the United States. And they all stated that the laws are not designed to ensure the protection of children from accidental shootings of this nature. Webster, the National Justice Association. Now that we easily looked at how guns can be easily accessible and how a child can get their hands on them, now let's see the consequences about giving a teen or child a gun. In the United States, one thing is too common, and it truly needs to stop, and that's mass shootings. We have seen so much mass shootings everywhere we go, and many times we feel like there's no safe place to be without the fear of a mass shooting. There have been many mass shootings that there are hundreds of examples. For example, the New England Journal of Medicine states the damage of how a mass shooting in the Las Vegas festival was. It appears that a single man armed with a gun has killed at least 58 people and wounded nearly 500 more. He was untrained, unskilled, but he just directed his high-powered automatic semi-automatic guns down on the crowd of some 22,000 people at the Route 91 Harvest Country Music Festival. And most of these attacks were not just adults, most of the time it's teens. These can cause the mass shootings of their schools during the teen's life. They are barely going through the vast rage of emotions with their easily accessible guns, which can lead to hundreds of dying, as well as the risk of themselves, of course. According to the National Institute of Justice, they state that for almost 1.3 million incidents in the 1994 to as low as 33,000 incidents in 2008, and since then it has risen to 2,566 in 2011. So now let's see the dangers of guns it has on people, and let's see how we can fix this. As we've seen, depending on the owner to keep his gun safe are not working. The government should increase the amount of weapon checks more often in order to see if a gun owner is keeping himself safe and people around him safe. The government also needs to higher the age requirement for buying weapons to 21 for all the states. In California, an age rate for firearms to 20 was raised to 21, and they lowered the amount of gun incidents and crimes caused by teenagers. And finally, the government should limit the amount of firepower it can own. For example, people don't need an automatic rifle for hunting unless you see a whole field of deer that are really close to each other. And this isn't limiting people from owning guns, it just limits people from having weapons that can pose a threat to many people. And now that we've seen the dangers of guns and how to potentially review everything we've learned, we first looked at how guns are too easily accessible, then looked at how guns can pose many dangers like school shootings, then finally we looked at how we can fix these problems with the help of stricter gun laws. We need to tighten our gun control in order to stop teenagers and adults with the dangers of these guns. And I believe with the help of everyone, if our voices are loud enough, we'll be able to live in a world where school shootings and gun related crimes are not either a common thing and we can just live our lives in peace. Thank you.